Jay Samtani. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Plant and Environmental Sciences, and I'm based at the Hampton Roads Agricultural Research and Extension Center in Virginia Beach. I'm going to talk briefly about some of the non-fumigant alternative work that we have been doing here in my program in Virginia, and also some of my experience in California that was based on non-fumigation alternatives. So a lot of the growers we know here fumigate with Pichlor 60 or Pichlor 80 after methyl bromide is long gone as an option for pre-plant fumigation. But a lot of these alternatives are not quite matching up to what methyl bromide used to give in terms of pest efficacy and also crop yield. So a lot of growers are not sure if it is worth their money to be putting down these fumigants. Also in Virginia, we have a lot of small to medium scale strawberry growers, and a lot of those growers, they have difficulty understanding the technicality behind putting down the fumigation. There is also a need to put down a fumigant management plan, and that can be challenging for a lot of growers. And a lot of growers are interested in following organic practices for philosophical reasons, but also because they cater to the agritourism markets, and a lot of the consumers there don't like too many chemicals being put down in the field. So there are challenges with putting down fumigant applications. So we are looking at some of the non-fumigant treatments that may be useful for growers and may add to the toolbox. One of the things that I started looking at when I first came into this position was evaluating soil solarization, and we looked at different durations of soil solarization: 3-week, 4-week, 6-week, and 8-week soil solarization, and we achieved that using a 1 mil polyethylene tarp instead of a black tarp on the raised bed. And inside of the raised beds, when we were doing the solarization, we tried to maintain about 70% field capacity with the moisture in the beds to allow for conduction of the heat that was accrued through the solarization process. Also, the best time to do solarization here would be in the months of July and August, and that can be a little bit of a challenge for growers to get the beds kind of prepared that early on during the growing season. But if growers are able to do that, we did see that the longer duration of soil solarization, the 6 to 8 week period, was the most efficacious in terms of achieving good weed control and then also maintaining crop yield. Now, in some of the trials, we oftentimes see the non-treated control perform just as good as Pichlor 60 or even our non-fumigant alternative. In this case, it would be soil solarization, especially for the 6 to 8 week. And some years, we do see a difference between the fumigant and the non-treated in terms of crop yield. So I would say that even the fumigant options don't necessarily always improve yield, but they may have other benefits like suppressing pest pressure in the field. Soil solarization has some disadvantages too, like it would not really work well for weed species that have a hard seed coat, like legume crop, a legume weed. So that can be challenging. We've also tried mustard seed meal by itself as another product for non-fumigant alternative, and that seems to have variable weed control. Usually we need a higher dose rate from 2,000 to 4,000 pounds per acre to really get some level of weed control and achieve good yield. But the problem with mustard seed meal is it can be quite expensive, and the source that we procure it from usually sells us over $1 a pound of mustard meal. So that can really quickly add up the cost of putting down the mustard seed meal. We also tried soil solarization of 8-week period with mustard seed meal at 1,000 pounds per acre. And that was probably one of the best treatments we've had in our research trials done here in Virginia. We've also looked at steam, and I mainly looked at the steam treatment in California, and it is really a very good pre-planned soil disinfestation technique. But the challenge we have with steam is you do need a lot of labor hours to achieve the level of temperatures you need, which would be about 158 Fahrenheit for 20-minute time period to really get a good weed control and maintain crop yield. So that can prove to be very labor intensive, and the current technology is not there to make steam application viable and a practical option for growers in the field. Most recently, we are also looking at anaerobic soil disinfestation strategy, and in this particular treatment, it entails application of a carbon source, and we looked at brewer's spent grain because that was something breweries were giving us for free. So on a research trial basis, that is the carbon source we use, but brewer's spent grain also is very nitrogen rich. So we had to kind of mix it with paper mulch, which is carbon rich to maintain the carbon to nitrogen ratio in the field. And that ratio needs to be between 20 to 1, 20 parts of carbon to 1 part of nitrogen, to 30 to 1 to really achieve the best ASD kind of treatment. So in case of ASD, beside the carbon source, you would incorporate the carbon source and then cover your beds with an impermeable tarp, which would be a black plastic tarp. It could be a standard tarp or a VIF, although you necessarily don't need a VIF or ASD, and then you need to irrigate to field capacity. So in this case, the idea is that when you're doing the ASD treatment, all of the pore spaces need to be filled with as much water as we can. And in a sandy soil, that may mean a lot of watering in the beds. So what we found after a 3-week ASD period, we found that it was very effective in achieving weed control in the field and had near comparable yield to picklor. So this is a treatment that I think would also work very well for growers who are interested in trying any of these treatments. I would encourage you to try it on a small scale the first year or two before you decide that this is the route you want to go. But really, these are good tool options for growers who are not interested in fumigating or who find fumigation to be challenging, either for personal reasons, for the technicalities of it, or because they are surrounded by a heavy urban population around them. Thank you.